it is. I would just normally shut down. We're debt free in life,
Hmm.
so debt free in all my businesses, no debt at all. So walking away for a week wouldn't it doesn't impact us at all, so financially. And this is the first time that the businesses are going to run while my wife and I are away,
Hmm.
and it's nerve wracking for sure.
It's
Minus
very
the
nerve.
truck. The truck won't operate, but the other businesses will.
Hmm.
And yeah.
Why do you
So
think I
Josh,
haven't
you're
done it?
lucky you have him, and he sounds vested, and that's great. And
Well,
but the more you walk away, the bigger you get, the more you walk. You get away from the founder stage, the harder and the more stressful it is on every level.
yep, I 100%. And I've managed in various industries, and in various places, and um,
And
yeah, and
yeah,
I get it. And especially in the food industry, you have to hire fast and you have to fire faster.
yes,
And don't take it personally. None of it's personal, you know.
yep,
Um, and the only way, unfortunately, you're going to find the right people is by going through some bad people.
yeah.
Because I don't care what a resume says.
Oh no,
You can be the greatest judge of character, and I'm a pretty good judge of character. I feel. Um, you're gonna get duped in interviews. You're gonna get duped on resumes. Um,
yeah,
and you have to separate.
People know how to sell until they work for you.
Yep. You have to mentally prepare yourself before you even start. That.
yeah. And you have to you have. I worked for this chef. He was the VP, and he was an old timer, and God, he was such a dick, and he would say, and I'll never forget some of the life lessons he taught me as a business owner, a chef. He'd say you have to inspect what you expect on a daily basis,
Mhm.
and just because these people are smart, when they come work for you, sometimes they have a tendency to be dumb in situations.
And you don't know how they were trained or what the atmosphere they came from and
Correct.
what was acceptable other places. So
Yes.
a clear set expectation for every person that comes into your business is important. And eventually people will know that if they don't meet expectations, that they're going to be looking for another job. And there's nothing wrong with it. That doesn't make you a
No.
dick and boss. It just means that you are going to hold people
It's
that come into your business to a higher standard. And eventually you will get people that want to be a part of that.
mhm. Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
and
and that's what we're
we let
striving
those two
for.
people go. We let those two
Mhm.
people go, and they were Jehovah's Witnesses, which what
Well, that
that
explains
translates
it.
to. That no, what that translates to is that we have we have a few other Jehovah's Witnesses that work
Mhm.
for us, and
That's
they
Isaac. That's
no
why
no
she
no
didn't commit to the Times, is because she was out. Oh,
no
never
no no
mind.
no. I mean, this is a real thing. This is Skippy. Trust me. Hear me
I'm
out on
just
this. So
kidding. I'm
they're
kidding.
so they were this is what I failed. This is a good failure. Is that these two young employees that also work for me. They're Jehovah's Witnesses. They're in their 20s. They were pissed off because that I just let their sisters go,
Mhm.
and I didn't realize that. And so I had to explain to these guys, listen, I understand your faith, get it, but you gotta understand myself as a business person. If they're not doing their job and you have to pick up their job, that might be okay with you, but
Mhm.
that's not okay in the business world,
Yep.
and that's where really religion and business can kind of conflict a little bit, but that's another topic for another day.
All right.
But
I need to
yeah,
get to some comments on YouTube. There are a lot of them. Um, Justin says he did 4,900 this last week. Good job, Justin. He
He's
said
Justin,
got
leave me
about.
alone.
he did he did a trunk or treat and a roadside and one wedding. Um,
What
Can
he
I ask
doesn't
a
tell you is
question
the
between
wedding was
all?
4,000.
yeah.
This is a question for Justin, Skippy, and Josh, just real quick,
Okay.
and you don't have to answer it now, but if you have, and I know where you're at, Josh, on this, I think, but say you have a calendar and you're booked, right?
Hmm.
You've booked in August, you've already booked for October, right?
Hmm.
You've got all the days, and then suddenly at the beginning of October, you get this opportunity to do a catering or an amazing trunk or treat that you've done previously that you weren't booked for. Do you, and say you were at a neighborhood, say like on the 26th, you were supposed to be at a neighborhood, right,
Hmm.
of October. Would you would you ever bump
No.
that neighborhood for a bigger event?
I'm
No.
gonna answer that, and Skippy, I want you to hold your answer. I want to get to the rest of these comments first, and then I will get
Justin,
back
I
to
want to hear yours too, Justin. So
Yeah.
pay attention.
Justin says
Or
he
else.
did not do barbecue because of the time. When he started catering on the side in 2016, he purchased a smoker and a grill trailer with the intention of doing barbecue. Yeah, regardless of how you do it, barbecue takes a lot of time, and that's just the nature of the beast. Bernie says, just cook overnight like me, and you won't have to wake up at 4 o'clock. 11:30 p.m. alarm is really awesome. So yeah, I mean, you're going one way or the other. So Bernie, all those that cook overnight, you're either doing it one way or the other. So you're either staying up later, or you're getting up early. And for me, Isaac, another thing is that with our family schedules, and yes, my wife is okay with me being up at 4 o'clock. She leaves the house at 6:30. So we have a couple of young children. Everything works with our schedule.
Perfect. That's awesome.
And everything, and Skippy and I have done barbecue competitions forever, and everything gets timed very precisely with what we do, and that didn't change for me when we started the truck. Everything is down to the minute. Everything gets done, at least for me, every day. It is exactly the same from 3:30 in the morning to 9:30 in the morning or 11 o'clock in the morning. That whole process, it doesn't matter who's there, is exactly the same every day.
And the moment you try to change that just to see if something else works,
everything gets fucked up.
It just fucks everything.
My biggest problems are like if we do, like we have just a wedding one day and it's in the evening, like a 5:30. We're like, all right, let's put meat on later in the day. Let's do it like 7 o'clock so I don't have to wake up. Dude, everything gets all jacked up. I get so behind because I think I have so much extra time.
You end up rushing, and
all of a sudden, the last 2 hours before the wedding, we're running around like with our heads cut off. Yeah, we just keep the schedule the way it is. It just works better for everybody. Anyways, where was I? Justin, I can cook for a 200 guest wedding in 3 hours. 2 pastas, grilled chicken, 2 sides, and a salad. Awesome! I'm so happy for you.
Blah 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 blah.
He also said regular service on the food truck is an hour of prep. And that's it's awesome, and that's what we chose. I mean, I could have done a burger truck. You know, we love to do barbecue. We feel like there is a whole lot of bad barbecue in the area, especially off of food trucks and in restaurants around here. There's a whole lot of good burger trucks in our area. So we go to where there is the gap in the service and where we think we can do well. Steve says, Isaac, that is the strategy of a brick and mortar. We smoking D's. 100 briskets is also $7,500 minimum plus other proteins. Also, the space to store is quite extensive.
Yeah, he's right.
Agree, and that's
yeah.
So we are already operating in a gray area.
Correct.
We have a 3-door commercial fridge in our garage that we use for raw product. It stays the temp. I got alarms on it. I got probes inside of it. I know what that fridge is. Yeah.
If I had a walk-in cooler, some things may change, but until then, I've worked in a restaurant where they pre-cooked everything, and the only thing that was fresh that day is probably the mac and cheese, and even that really wasn't that fresh. They just made it. They assembled it that day.
Yeah.
They boiled the noodles the day before. So I've worked in that spot, and it grossed me out every single time. Now, again, I will do it because I think 12 hours isn't that bad. And if it's good enough for Texas, it's good enough for pretty much everywhere else because most Texas barbecues.
Fucking Texas.
I know.
Josh.
I know
Nothing against you. I'm sorry. That was fucking Texas barbecue. Is what I meant to say.
Texas
Not just Texas. I love Texas.
They cook everything and they throw it in a warmer for the next day.
Not everybody.
The high end, the higher well-known places. Let's put it that way. So it's. While that may be good, and that may be what I do when I start the cafe, just because of I don't like the fact that right now if I cook overnight, everything's in my driveway. If something messes up, I can run out there real quick. Otherwise, it's going to be 20 minutes away. Mm-hmm. So I thought about cooking the day of for the next day and just doing the small meats in the morning, which I think can work. But sorry, Josh, go ahead. Keep continuing with comments.
Yeah. Mama Fran Says, as a business owner, the success and viability is strictly the responsibility of the owner. Customers love the dedication.
Yeah.
Very true.
Back to Steve. No disrespect to Isaac. That always means that something disrespectful is coming.
Is that Bubba?
No.
Oh, okay.
Steve Rodriguez.
But barbecue is a different beast. Look at some of the YouTube videos.
Stop touching the microphone, Josh.
I can't help it.
Stop, please.
Look at some of the YouTube videos on 24 hours at a barbecue food truck. Smoky Joe's in El Paso is one, and Joe Yim's 24 hours at Black's.
Yeah, it's just what I'm saying is that there's other options.
Yep.
If you think, let me tell you something about business. If you think there's only one way to do it in your line of business, you're 150% in the wrong.
Absolutely.
The best thing you can do as a business owner is open up your damn eyes and look at other industries and other facets of your current industry. Just because this is how they do it in the barbecue world, trust me, that is not the only way.
Yeah, and there's plenty of barbecue places that do it like you said. Yeah, that are very successful.
Yeah, just as
Skippy
a
and I would
owner,
care for those kind of sales.
And Steve's right. I don't know the ins and outs of your guys' world. All I know from a chef and culinary and operational standpoint is that the more I gain is from reading from other industries and looking around and asking questions.
And Isaac, for me, I think that barbecue, from a culinary standpoint, can be taken so much further than anybody has already taken it.
Yeah.
The majority of people think barbecue is grilling.
No, and I'm not even saying that. I'm just talking about even our Texas barbecue, and we've talked about this before, and Bubba freaked out on me. There is no reason there cannot be a Michelin star barbecue restaurant.
Yeah.
And he says, it's been tried. No, it hasn't. Someone opened up what they considered a fancy restaurant and still served the same shit that we're serving at our trucks.
See, what he said is
on
wrong.
The same platter.
They've been saying the same thing about taco places, and this year is the first Michelin starred taco restaurant in the United States.
I mean, you have Aaron Franklin, who's a James Beard Award winner.
Exactly.
I mean, people who tell me that it
possible.
can't be done, all they understand is their own little small world.
Yep.
And no offense to anybody, but it is true. The more you just look and broaden your scope from the little minutia that you have to do on a daily basis, the
unfortunately
better
barbecue guys can get super laser focused on
Josh,
their very things.
Owners do. It's not just barbecue.
I know, but barbecue people are even worse. If it's not Texas style, then don't even bother, because that's the only thing that does well. So. Back to Justin, he said he's learned to be patient on his bookings, but once you're booked, you're booked. In the beginning, he was so pressured to fill the calendar that he would say yes to any request. I would also give poor setups too many choices just to fill the calendar. Or too many chances.
I have to tell you a quick, real story here, just real quick. You guys will laugh at Justin. You guys will all laugh. So I was booked for this apartment complex, and I did $300-400 the last time I was there, and then I get a phone call from a friend of mine, and he says, "Hey, I can't go to this farm for this Oktoberfest, but you should go because I made in that's a lot of money for us. I made in 2 days $5,000. I'm like, oh man, I would love to. What date is it? Oh, I'm booked at this apartment complex. And so I didn't go, and my other friend picked it up. He walked away with almost $6,000. I walked away with like $230. I was like, shit. And it got me thinking, because Josh, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy that cancels bookings for other bookings. But then I think, how can I get to the promised land of $250,000 for my reach goal if I don't have some type of fluidity to my schedule? But maybe Justin's right. Maybe it is about not booking months and months in advance. I just don't. I felt so bad walking away from that type of money, just to walk away with $230 in my pocket, while my friend
That's
You
happened.
know?
That's happened to everybody. I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
guess.
hindsight is 2020. When I was down with knee surgery, I gave away $25,000 in business. I
Hmm.
gave it to people. Like, could I have figured out how to do it? Yeah, I probably could have found somebody to pull my trailer and whatever the case may be. But it's yeah, and I'm paying for it now. I mean, I'm still in the green, which is fantastic. But you can't look back on what you could have. You can only remember, okay, I know this was a banger last year. I'll be the first one to reach out to them and see, hey, are you booking for this year?
Yes,
Because I want to be
yes.
there. And then you
And
can start planning ahead. Don't plan for the past. It doesn't just every day is a new day. When you wake up, don't remember what you did yesterday. Remember what you're going to do tomorrow. Like
No,
it's
it's true. It was just so hard. It was a hard. I don't want to be that guy because you know a lot of customers. So before I started the food truck, I did a poll on our restaurant Facebook page here in San Antonio, and a lot of people's complaint about food trucks hosts' complaint was that they bailed at the last minute, and I see it all the time. You guys have talked about it. I don't want to be that guy, but also it was really disheartening to see the money that you walk away from, you know, at the last minute. You know, a venue needs somebody, and you can't respond to it because you were booked at this apartment complex that may or may not have promoted you. You know, but I hear you, Skippy, and that's I'm in my mind. I'm saying for next year, don't get booked up so fast in October.
well,
okay,
here's the
You
thing
know.
is as so you can also do this another way. You can contact realistically. I mean, do you want to do this? Maybe. Do you? I mean, take it for what it's worth. And I've done it before. Is you can contact the organizer and say, "Hey, I'm telling you this because I want to come to where you are, but I have this amazing opportunity." Explain to them the opportunity. Can we reschedule? If it's an
Hmm.
event that they're having that day, it's probably not going to happen. If it's
Hmm.
just you going to, a neighborhood, maybe you can schedule it for the next day or something of that nature. I'm not saying do that every single time and don't do it unless you know that whatever you're taking is a guarantee. Like I would do that maybe for a catering that's 4 or 5 grand, but it'd be hard pressed. I've given away a lot. We actually have over on the east side of the state here, we have 4 or 5 barbecue trucks that refer each other business. And
Hmm.
honestly, that's the best way to do it because if you give something away, more than likely you're going to get something in return. And that's how
Sure.
we roll over here. But that'd be the only way that I'd ever cancel something, or is I would never try to cancel it. I would try to reschedule it. So
Yeah,
that
I like the rescheduling. And then one thing I didn't. So I've been grinding 7 days a week since we opened up in August. And one thing I didn't factor in, which was a mistake, which Josh, you touched on it just a little bit on one of the podcast episodes, is buffering in a reschedule day.
hmm,
Like if you so say for example you're taking 2 days off a week, right? Which
mhm,
is an advantage, right? If you take 2 days off a week, because at least one could be a buffer if you had to cancel, you know, because of or
yeah,
move, right? In your case, Skippy, move a neighborhood to be able to take on a better opportunity. Um, and I failed. I didn't think about that. I didn't realize that the apartments, the majority, would be shitty. And I don't want to blame the venue of the apartment, although in my hearts of hearts I know it's probably that, but I want to be that business owner that takes on the responsibility and promotes it. So what that means, Josh, in your world is for me to learn, you know, Facebook ads, right? To be able to leverage that little mini community around that apartment complex to get business.
well,
Um,
it's also as simple as asking the organizer what type of marketing they're doing
yeah, they'll tell me.
before you say yes. What are you guys doing to help promote us being there?
Yes,
And if they
that is
can't
good.
tell
Yeah.
you, or if they don't give you the answer that you're looking for, and you can feel free to let them know what you need to break even.
Hmm.
Like, is it worth my time if I'm not making $500? Am I breaking even? Is it going to cost me more for the propane and generator to come to your spot? You know,
Yes.
ask them that before you just say, "Yep." In my first year, I was taking everything I possibly could to build the name. It's all about the name in
Yeah.
the first year. After that, I've been a little bit more stingy about who I take on.
I
And
think that's where I need to be, Skippy, because I took everything and it, it's the same. To me, it's the same amount of work if I drive out to Josh's apartment complex and do shitty, or drive out to Skippy's complex and do amazing. It's the
Mhm.
same amount of work to get there, to prep, and in those 3 hours of like, there's only so much you can do, so much you can clean and stuff when you're dead and when you're slow. And then for me, I go into this negative spiral in my head. Sometimes if it's super slow and I only done $80,
Yep.
and because you
when
still
you're
got to
dead,
drive
start getting
home.
on Facebook and marketing
That's correct,
Yeah.
and that's where Josh, you and I talked
or
about that on the
Instagram.
show. But that is, you're right, Skippy, and I hope after this first 6 months to a year that we'll be able to be more selective and more thoughtful in who we take on, um, and better questions that we ask of apartment. I guess in this world, this perfect world, I would use apartments as fill-ins. Um, our neighborhoods in some of these surrounding towns of San Antonio are older, super rich, and we've done well there.
Have
You
you
know,
have you done your Facebook now or like stalking about other food trucks and where they go?
not so I run, there's like three other amazing food trucks that are in my area that have really helped us, given us some cool, inside info as far as names and locations to go to and stay away from. And so yes, in a way, I haven't gotten to your guys' point where I want to be able to do lunches and dinners 5 days a week. Um, I'll be honest with you, running a truck, and this is a good, this is maybe where the downfall is of a truck that cooks, is that when I run the truck by myself, I'll do a lunch, say a school, a lunch for teachers, and then I'll go out for dinner, solo, and I'm exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's my age that shows, or how you guys do it. I mean, you guys do the upfront work of smoking on the back end, so you're slicing and serving. Um, for me, it's just slightly different with a cook time, but I would love to get to that point where either I could do a roadside, and then go out to dinner, or do a dinner and then a roadside. That's one thing I envy about both of you guys. You guys could do that. I don't have that confidence yet. Um,
I didn't do that in my first year. Most of my first year, I was dinner service most of the time.
Well, and
I
a
didn't
lot of
do
yeah.
times
lunches.
you're doing just one or the other now, right, Skippy?
Yeah, I mean,
For you,
I've
that's
done
rare.
I've done more lunches this year or more doubles,
Mm-hmm.
But for me to find a spot to set up in our small little community, I'm driving an hour if I wanted to go somewhere. I've tried going to an industrial complex or office complex basically, and I might get 20 orders, but to drive an hour and 10 minutes and then drive back to a neighborhood in Ann Arbor, which is 30 minutes, and then another 40 minutes home. I
Mhm.
didn't find the use of it. I could just stay in one spot, maybe, and just do a whole day. And Isaac, to correct you, and Josh, as you, I'm on the Michelin Guide. There are two 1-star or Michelin star barbecue restaurants.
Oh, good.
One is in Singapore
Oh,
called Burnt
doesn't count.
called Burnt Ends,
Uh,
and one is in Taiwan.
Oh my God.
And I'm not going to try
I
to
think we said
Yeah.
United States, buddy.
Texas.
All right.
just say.
We-
Now there are the other distinctions is Bib Gourmand, which is the little Michelin guy. I didn't realize it was like Michelin tires. It's
Yep.
like who sponsors all this.
That's why they did it, so that they could sell more tires.
Yeah, there's the Bib Gourmand, which is very um, good quality food,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a ton of Bib Gourmand restaurants and
Yeah.
or barbecue, I should say. But
Have you watched that documentary on the oldest? I think she's the first female pitmaster.
Yeah, Mama Snow.
Yeah,
Yep.
here in Texas. I
Yep.
met her a couple of times, and she's
Tootsie?
cool.
Tootsie, yeah,
She's
Tootsie.
cool.
Yeah,
Tootsie is cool.
when I had drove down to Texas, I ate at Franklin's in Austin, and then
Mhm.
she was my second spot, my only other stop that I was going to make while I was there. And I drove there that morning, and they were closed due to COVID.
Oh
They weren't able
man,
to run.
Trixie, dude, she's a janitor,
Yep.
and then she would come and work over at Snow's. Dude, she's a no bullshit lady. I like her.
Mhm. And
I
seeing
like her.
that style, it's a whole different breed of animal.
Yep.
Being able to do that, and they're only open 1 week or 1 day a week.
Yep.
But like Franklin's, they're cooking every day, you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah. Different beast.
it's a different attention to detail.
Hmm.
You have less margin for error.
Hmm.
If I'm cooking for a whole week, I can fix stuff a whole lot easier that way. You know,
Yeah.
you get a bad stretch of brisket or whatever, and it happens. There's just some weird briskets out there. Um, you get more opportunity to fix. You don't have to pay as close attention to it. You know, you
Yeah.
can mix in some better brisket with some of the other brisket. Um, but for us, every one of those briskets has to be on the money coming off the smoker. We don't
Yeah.
have opportunity to fix mistakes that way. And that attention to detail, I think, is what makes it, for me, more fun.
Especially if you're slicing brisket.
Mm-hmm.
Like we
Yeah.
serve chopped, so if we overcook it a smidge, it's not going to ruin our day. But if you're serving sliced and you undercook it or even overcook it,
Yeah.
you will not get a slice and you'll end up serving chopped. And
Yeah.
Back to calendar, since I haven't gotten to jump in on this, and I know, Isaac, you said you know where I stand on that. But as far as scheduling, like scheduling for next year, my goal is to have my schedule full, my tentative schedule full by mid-January, and it will be for the most part. Now, how we do that and still make room for catering and other things, festivals and stuff like that, is one, we have very good relationships with all the people that we set up with now. So all our roadside locations, we have a very good continuous relationship, even through the winter. And we have set expectations of how things go. For the most part, all our roadside lunch spots, they're not set in stone big events. So like our normal Tuesday lunch spot is an insurance company, financial planning and insurance.
Yeah. That's impressive.
And it's just on a corner in a small sub town of a town.
Hmm.
And we go there every Tuesday. For us to 2 weeks out move corporate lunch into that spot is not a big deal. Now for like evening stuff and subdivisions, the ones that we schedule, again, we have very good relationships with. There's only one subdivision that I won't change a date on, and that's because they have very designated slots for trucks. So when you take one of the slots, that's your spot. There's not moving it one day or the other for the most part. But a couple of the other ones, it's a less super organized community event, and it's just a good spot. Like one of them, we're the only truck that ever goes there, and we're there about once a month. And if I get something else within 2 weeks, I can say, hey, can we just slide this one day or the other, or find a different spot on the month where we might have a gap? And it's not a big deal. And those are the kinds of locations for both dinner and lunch that we're seeking out, for when I'm doing my schedule in January. Those ones will all get spots on the calendar first thing. And then I can start filling in the other stuff. So all the spots that I know that we have some flexibility with are going on the calendar. They'll be
Okay.
there.
That
They'll be
makes
there
sense.
soon. Even like our distillery on Fridays, where we have opportunity to be there from 11 to 7 or 11 to 8. But they also know that if we have events coming in, we give them 2 weeks notice, and then we will only be there for lunch or we won't be there at all. That gives them plenty of opportunity to be able to swap out and find somebody, or we can help them find another truck. In a lot of cases, we will find other trucks for some of these spots. But as far as like festivals, school events, like there's plenty of like field days and stuff that we do. We have a couple of those family nights at elementary schools and stuff that they're okay nights. We've turned down $6,000-$7,000 weddings to still do those events. We're locked in. We're locked in,
Yeah.
and it sucks because every year we turn down no money. known money. I've had small weddings that we've booked, like 2 small weddings that add up to like $3,000, and have had to turn down a larger wedding that we just couldn't make work. And it's like, fuck, if only this person would have reached out to us 2 weeks sooner, we could have done the one big wedding instead of these 2 small weddings. And that's just,
I've had that.
That's part of the game. And now we are trying to build our business in a way that we don't have to say no to, especially like catering. For me, having my own commissary, that's awesome, because then I don't have to say no ever to a catering job. We can roll out our roadside and still do catering out of the commissary type of thing.
Yeah.
For me, that's more important than opening up a brick and mortar, like a cafe, like what Skippy's doing. That's my next step, is to have some sort of commissary that I can run catering out of.
And keep in mind that that's what I'm doing.
Well, yeah, but you're still doing.
I'm still selling it.
Yeah,
yes.
Right. Oh, we lost Isaac. He's in the lobby again. Oh, this could get weird.
Oh boy.
Isaac? Hello? Isaac? I'm confused that he's... Uh-oh.
Oh, he's gone now.
He's gone now. But yeah, back to some YouTube comments. Justin says that he's off Mondays and Tuesdays. He uses Tuesday as his buffer day to be able to add on stuff. Said it's landed on some Christmas parties.
Oh, there's Isaac again. Ish.
Are you back, Isaac? Hello?
Housekeeping.
I could turn his camera on and see if we can see him.
Ooh.
Steve says, Isaac, what's an average? I can't help it. What's an average ticket number and time of service? Josh, how long did it take for you to develop this strategy? Sorry to be such a pest. Steve, no problem. I don't know that it was really.
Nobody likes me.
I don't know that it was definitely a developed strategy. I think it's just kind of how we settled in. Isaac, I'm not sure if you're still listening or if you can hear us or not. There seems to be some problems with your stuff right at the moment. So I'm going to try to kick you out. If it'll let me. I can't even get to... All right. We're going to ignore Isaac for the moment. My nature is to develop relationships, especially in a business standpoint. So for me to be on good terms with that and not backing out on people, it's just human nature to me, type of thing. So I've always wanted to get the schedule filled as early as possible. It gives me anxiety to go into mid-March when we open and have open things in April. Because I know that when we start, there's so much to do once we get going. It's time that I don't have to spend usually, is to try to fill those spots super actively as we go through the season. So it's worked for us. Our lunch spots really hit. This sometimes results in us being in bad places, new places, for too long or for the whole year. Just because at that point we're not really looking and we're not in the mindset to find new spots. But I mean, we've definitely taken places off the schedule for the year and found other spots. It's just worked for us. I don't know if that answers your question or not, Steve. It's just kind of how we settled in. So for this off season, we're done on Saturday as our last, more or less, day. We have the day before Thanksgiving where we're open to the public for the Free Beer and Hot Wings show. And then, I will take some time to myself and through the holidays for family and stuff through December. But yeah, January rolls around. I'm already going to have, like, our Tuesday lunches are already going to be on our calendar when I start actively scheduling. I'm already reaching out to events that we like. Those organizers, that's happening right now. We're not waiting for them to send out stuff. So, and granted, we're not going to be able to book those events because that's not how they work, which is fine. But I'm going to find out a date that they are, and those dates get blocked off the calendar. So if we have festivals that we really really like, those dates get blocked off the calendar, so we don't schedule on those dates. Now, if something comes through where someone says they have a 300 person wedding, and we haven't filled out paperwork for those events yet, then yeah, we're going to do the 300 person wedding probably, and take the guaranteed $6,000 day. Versus,
but let me ask you a question.
You're there,
Isaac.
Yes. Sorry.
We weren't sure.
Look
Shit,
who's back.
I'm not even sure either. So let me ask you a question.
Back.
So say it's April, Josh.
Mhm.
Okay, and you're booked for I don't know, say the 18th of November for a community, and
Okay.
and in April they somebody reaches out to you for a wedding that happens to be that day in November that you're
Mhm.
booked with what are you doing? Are you going to reach out to that community and move?
100%, yeah.
Okay.
Especially if it's one of the 4 that we have this ongoing agreement with. If I were to show you our calendar from this year versus last year, 80% of those spots are the same year to year. At this point, we're not going to a whole lot of new locations for roadside stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the ongoing relationships were. Our hosts understand kind of how the business works. Unless it is like Skippy said, unless it's an organized, orchestrated event. And sometimes those happen. Like there's, a neighborhood will do a movie night or whatever, or there's fireworks or whatever. If something like that is a major neighborhood event, then yeah, we're probably going with it being 6 months in advance. I will ask around to some other trucks. If I can find someone that's available for that November date, then I might offer that up to the neighborhood. Said, hey, I don't think we can make it. Something else has come up. I have found another truck that's willing to take our spot. Will that suffice?
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think it's my friend of mine and I, who he helps me a lot with the marketing. I've worked with a guy for 20 years. We were talking about this the other day. Like, do you think it's a turn off if say Josh, you run an apartment complex,
Mm-hmm.
and you reach out to us and say, man, Olafasta, we want you to come to our apartment complex, and we say, okay, well, these are the dates we have available, and so you as a manager, you pick the dates, and we
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, listen, I'm just letting you know you're booked for these dates. To be fully transparent, if a catering comes up or a guarantee comes up, then that's a possibility of a bump to those dates. Those dates for you. We try to give you as much notice as possible if that happens. Unless if you want to guarantee, Josh, as the manager of this apartment complex, for us to be there, then we would ask for a guarantee to hold the spot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out if that's
I think that's a fine thing to say. I think being open, honest, upfront, and transparent with everybody you work with is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many trucks that won't say anything and just not show up.
Say, hey, yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, they'll just not show up, or they'll let them know a day ahead of time. For me, it's 2 weeks.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay,
if I can't give somebody 2 weeks notice, I'm not going to bail on them 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's one of our like 3 subdivisions where I can just slide them a day or a week, and it's not a huge deal. But yeah, for the most part,
I don't want to walk away from some of this, like, and I know, Skippy, I know it's because we're new and we don't have those relationships that both of you guys have with those folks yet. And I know we will get there.
Which means you can't burn any bridges right now.
That's correct. Yes, that's correct. It just but here's the thing, right? So say Josh, again, you have this apartment complex. You reach out, we book a cluster of dates. So let's just say 4 dates, and then we hit the first date and we do $200 in sales. And you say, okay, well, maybe it's just because we're new. to this community. It takes a little bit. Second time you hit maybe 250 in sales, and then you say to yourself, well, shit, I've still got 2 more dates booked. Sales haven't been amazing. Do you still fulfill those 2 dates?
Can I take that one?
Absolutely. You and I are very different on this, but
so for me, I think it all starts with what type of information did you get as an owner to see, about these apartment complexes? Have they ever had food trucks in the past? What questions are you asking them to gauge the amount of sales you may get? Number 2 is I give a place two times. I won't book more than 2 times with them, because if the first time sucks, I'll say, okay, just like you just did. Maybe it's just because I'm new, or I didn't ask the right questions, or I asked the right questions, but it was just an overall bad day.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give them one more shot. And if that second time I'm still not making what I need to make, then if they try to book me for a third time, I'll have that conversation like you just said and say, hey, the last 2 times we haven't hit our break even mark. We're more than happy to come out again, but there has to be, unfortunately, we'd have to ask for a minimum of X amount of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
We have to break even on places that we go. Nothing against your people or anything, but it's more of, it's, yeah.
Get in the game.
That's how you would do it, is if they're asking you to come out, there has to be something that you get in return. Obviously, sales is number 1. Now,
Mm-hmm.
on the flip side, is if you do book more than 2, I don't look at a neighborhood or an apartment complex as a money maker. We always hope it is. What I look at is if you go to a subdivision or you go to a neighborhood or something like that, how many business cards can I give out?
Mm-hmm.
There's your catering. People will ask you, well, do you do catering? If you go in November, you hope that they're going to remember you in March when they start booking for their son's graduation party.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the other things. It's like a 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. Is if I choose, like 2 weeks ago, I went to a pause parade in our downtown area that was deader than a doornail. I mean, it was nobody there. I had a great day, and as a customer, it was awesome. Boy can eat too. So, but I also gave away 4 business cards. Well, maybe I'll get something off of it. Maybe I won't. But it was my choice to continue to make that. I didn't have anything going on. Could I have found something different that might have made $100 or $200 more? Possibly. But was it there, and I knew I could give out business cards to people? Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you want to bring up catering, that's your best way to do it. Is if you're gonna do that long block of dates, you want to hope something comes out of it, whether it be a minimum or whether it be you send out 500 business cards and get one deal off it, because that'll make your day.
So maybe you're right about not booking in clusters. I try to do, maybe that's my fallacy, is I try to book clusters to book the calendar, and maybe that's my downfall.
That's the way I was doing. That's the way I was doing it too. We actually had we have a person, and Josh has met him, that would book subdivisions for everybody, and he has 100 subdivisions that he books trucks for. Some do it weekly, some do it monthly, some do it bi-weekly, and we can ask the other people that have been to those subdivisions how their sales were.
Mm-hmm.
So we can know whether it's, most of the subdivisions I would go to are 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes away.
Uh-huh.
So for me to travel that far, I got to make $1,000. I mean, that would be my goal for that day. Yeah, and there are some that did that, and there are some that don't. But I think it does. Going back to my original point, I think whatever you say to start off the conversation with X and X apartment complex or subdivision will lead you to your answer. If they've never had a food truck, I wouldn't expect your first day of sales to be the best.
Uh-huh.
If they've had them, maybe reach out to one of the other food trucks that have been there and say, hey, I'm new. Can you give me an idea of what to expect? I've done that a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I will answer that in a different way, and then we got to wrap up the show.
I have one more question after that, though.
Oh, okay, my God. Ahead. Nope. Ask your question first.
I told you it was going to be long.
We don't. I don't have time.
We don't have time.
We
We
have
have
time.
no time for long.
I don't even remember what I was going to say. We'll hang in there. Because just like anything, any new location, especially in a new area that we don't normally set up in, it takes time to build up a base. Just like when we first opened our truck, it took time to build up a base. If we bailed on all those beginning locations that didn't work out great for us in the beginning, we wouldn't have done a $1,400 lunch last Tuesday.
How many times do you give, Josh?
It's usually a minimum of 3 for me.
3. Okay.
That gives me a good average. But we had an apartment complex in an area that we used to set up in at a brewery and had to bail on the brewery because they opened up their own food. So we thought this would be a good spot
Bastards.
to get some of those people back to us. And it just didn't work out that way. So yeah, they were slower dinners for us. It was a slower apartment, but as the year went on, it started to pick up. So we started, word of mouth kind of started trickling through. We started getting more and more people from the apartment complex. Is it someplace that we're going to add on next year? Maybe a couple times. But because we do lunch and dinner service, we make our money at lunch. Our break even is always in there at lunch. So for us to roll into an apartment complex or whatever and only do $300 out of the 2.5 hours or 3 hours, it's not a big deal for us. Because it's all profit. All I'm paying is somebody. The only extra cost I have is in the gas to get out there, the gas to run the generator, and then one of my employees $30 for the couple hours that he's there.
Okay.
So for me, it's an easy call to make another
$15 an hour,
to make another few $100 and to increase our customer base.
Okay.
Okay. What's your other question?
Okay. Last question. You're at an apartment complex. Dinner time 3 hours for the service time. You're at hour 2. You've made $50. Do you fold and leave?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Hey guys, thank you so much for letting me be on. No, this is great. When I was introduced to you guys, I always have 1,000 questions, and I still have 1,000 questions. So thank you guys for always being there to answer those, and really the work you guys are doing has been so helpful.
We should post.
I listen to your
should
guys'
post his
podcast.
message content.
I
how much messages he sent us.
I listen. It is a lot. I listen to these weeklies multiple times in a week's period, and it's always soothing. You guys and Dave Ramsey because he's debt free. I love it. But
wow, we're in the same group as Dave Ramsey.
Basically the same.
But no, seriously. I mean, seriously, you guys have really helped. I really appreciate y'all.
I'm glad that that you're getting so much out of it, and we appreciate the questions and comments because it gives us stuff to talk about.
Sure.
We definitely run out of stuff to talk about, especially during the season. The show seems easier in the off season, because I think our brains get to shift gears a little bit into other stuff. So
I would love to help you guys out and beyond. I always have a billion questions, and thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you, Isaac. Have a good week. Business will pick up. It'll turn around. Don't worry.
Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Thank you guys so much.
You too, buddy.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Oh my God. Isaac, you're still there.
I'm still on. Shit. See, I don't want to. Why? I don't want it to leave, guys. I need all the help.
There's no help. We're leaving.
He's
all right. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
I got one more comment from Steve. He said, doing farmers markets in LA, it took 90 days on a regular basis to get established. Like Skippy related, for us, it resulted in New Year's Eve wedding for 400 people, 3 miles from the Rose Parade. So yeah, you never know what one thing's going to lead to another. So yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. I liked having a third person on for part of the show or all the show. It was a nice change of pace. Let us know how you guys enjoyed it. And we can do this again with some various people now that we're getting to some off seasons for some other trucks too. So
yes.
Thank you, everybody. And stay tuned for information on next week's show. Next week is the Food Truck Owners Expo. I don't think we're going to have a Monday show because I'll be traveling. Skippy will be at World Foods. So we're kind of working through that, but we will be live from Food Truck Expo. So look for that. Thank you, everybody. Have a good week.